friends, it's good to be back here on Chai with Molly. Welcome once again to Chai with Molly. We've gone through the year, we had the market in review, we've looked at the condo market, and today we're back and we're just glad to be here. We're here with Mr. Mike Ferry, who is a real estate trainer and the CEO of his own corporation called the Mike Ferry Organization. Mike, it's good to be here. Good to see you. Thank you. Mike, I have a few questions. May I ask them now?
Please.
Thank you. As the owner of a company worth $50 million, you are considered one of the world's biggest people in business. And is there, or in your opinion, what is your greatest achievement?
Well, first of all, I'm very big in the field that I'm in.
Yes.
But in business, I'm probably a minnow, okay,
Yes.
in a giant ocean.
In
the industry we're in, we're considered to be very large because we're very fortunate to have
Yes.
a lot of great real estate customers like yourself that we
Thank
work
you.
with. And probably my biggest achievement is the fact that I've lasted 37 years doing this when most people that do what I do last a few years and burn out, go away, fly away, or disappear. So I think probably our greatest achievement, Jay, is the fact that we've withstood
Yes.
all the criticisms, we've withstood all the economic changes,
Yes.
we've withstood
Yes.
all the downturns,
Yes.
and we're here to help the public and the realtors work
Yes.
together better.
And for our viewers, Mike, what specifically is your field so that they understand, so they can learn a few things and learn something in life too at the same time?
Well, our job is to,
Yes.
end result is to help the public
Yes.
make better decisions as to
That's
who
right.
they choose to work with as a real estate professional.
Okay.
To make that happen, we train real
Yes.
estate people how to sell. If you buy life insurance
Yes.
or you buy a new refrigerator or a car,
Sure.
you're going to be working with a trained professional in that field.
Yes.
Our belief is that the real estate profession, which is, as you and I know, one of the
That's
biggest
right.
professions in North America,
Absolutely.
they need to be trained on
That's
how to
right.
do their job, how to sell,
Yes.
how to do the best job in bringing buyers and sellers together.
That's
So our
right.
job is to teach them
Yes.
sales skills.
Wow, that's great. Now, obviously, I mean, let me ask you a question. I mean, for so many years, you built this great corporation. What motivates you to get up in the morning and keep on going? Obviously, it's not the money.
Well, the other
Yes.
side of that story is if I don't get up and keep on going, what am I going to do? Okay?
Yes.
There's a lot of personal satisfaction, and we've known each other
Sure.
a long time, Jay.
Very long time.
A lot of satisfaction watching
Yes.
a young salesman,
Yes.
like when I first met you,
That's right.
grow and develop. I mean, look
Yes.
where you are today.
Yes.
I mean, you've traveled all over the world, you've
Yes, I
sold
have.
thousands of homes, you have your
Yes.
own TV show.
That's right.
The satisfaction is watching
Yes.
people grow and develop. Just like you, as a good agent, have
Yes.
watched your buyers and sellers move forward with their investments in real estate. I watch agents move forward with their investments in themselves.
I see. So really, you are a conduit because, you know, for our viewers, those who are watching, obviously, you want to buy a property either for yourself to live in, you want to buy a property as an investment, and the person advising you, the realtor, the professional salesperson by your side is key. And you're the person that's really making that happen.
Well, we try.
We try.
There's, in the
Yes.
U.S.,
Yes.
probably 1 million real estate salespeople.
Yes.
I imagine there's probably 40 to 50,000 up here in Canada. It's somewhere in that area.
There's 38,000, I believe, on our board in Toronto itself.
Oh, so there's probably 100,000 real estate
That's
agents
right.
in Canada.
Yes, yes, yes.
And our job is to try to help
Yes.
those that want to progress and become the best of the best, become the best of the best. Like any industry.
Yes.
There's going to be some great ones, some
Yes.
good ones, and
That's
some
right.
that we don't want to spend any time with.
That's right.
And we're trying to help the good become great and the great
Yes.
become better.
Yes. That is so key because as you know very well, I joined this industry about 20 years ago. At that point, I spent 6 years in university in the US. And when I became a professional realtor, my own father called me and he says, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?"
That's right.
And it is because of someone like yourself, and I mean that sincerely,
Thank
that
you.
today, you know, my own family and others look upon what I do as a very respectable profession.
It is a very respectable profession
Yes.
if, like yourself,
Right.
you know what you're doing. It's like anything else. There's
That's
some
right.
good doctors.
That's right.
There's some bad doctors.
That's right.
There's some great attorneys. There's some poor attorneys.
That's right.
In every profession, there's people that are good or bad. And the ones that are good
Yes.
spend the time learning, researching, studying to become the best. What the public wants, because it's such a huge investment that the
Right.
public makes in real estate,
Right.
they need to have the best representation.
So it's much more than just going and looking and knowing how to show a house. It's much more than just putting a home on the MLS as you know it.
Sure.
It's much more than putting an ad. Would that be correct?
Well, you see, It's an emotional transaction.
Right.
Buying a home,
Okay.
first of all, it's usually the biggest transaction a person makes in their life.
Yes.
And it's very emotional. You have a mother and a father. You have a
Yes.
husband and wife. You have kids.
Yes.
You have neighborhoods and schools and proximity to shopping and churches and to their business. There's so many factors.
Yes.
A great real estate agent has to sit down with that buyer,
Yes.
has to analyze all those needs, has to ask all the right questions, and then winnow down to the right house to find that buyer the right house. Then you have a seller who's going to be asking X number of dollars, and a buyer who wants to pay Y, and then that great salesman has to bring them together. So there's so much more to it than hopefully walking in and finding the dream home.
Wow.
It's a very complex yet very simple transaction if you're good.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because over the past few months, you may not know this, but I've been talking to our viewers about, just the importance. They choose, some people may go for sale by owner, etc. But it's, you may save some money, but the amount that you actually end up saving in the year of a good investment is invaluable. Thank you for sharing that. You've had the privilege, Mike, of working with some very people who just really had some great life learning achievements. Someone like Earl Nightingale. Please
Correct.
give us, one or two thoughts that you've learned from him that changed your life. Now, our viewers may not know who is Earl Nightingale. A little bit about him, and it's something that both they and I can learn more.
Well, Earl Nightingale started out
Yes.
as a young man in Long Beach, California, during the Great Recession in the U.S.
Okay.
He made a very interesting decision.
Okay.
And his decision was in looking out and seeing people, even in the recession, that were living a great life when the masses were living very poorly.
Interesting.
And he kept saying to himself, what's the difference in the two groups? And he started researching human behavior, psychology, people that succeeded, people failed, and why they succeeded and failed. And as a result of that, he applied those basic fundamental rules of how to succeed in life to his business as a life insurance salesperson.
Wow.
And was able to earn enough money and retire in 1956 at age 35, financially independent. He produced a record called The Strangest Secret, which has become one of the highest selling records in the history of the industry. And he produced the record to give to business people, to mothers and fathers, to everybody that said, this is what you can do to live your life better, make it more meaningful, and have a wonderful life. That record created an entire industry called the motivational industry.
Sure, that's huge.
So he's the man that I had the good fortune of working for from 1968 to 1972 in Chicago, Illinois. And probably, if I had to say, the greatest lesson I learned from Earl is never listen to the criticism of people that are doing less than you're doing. Because what is the point of listening to somebody that's doing less than you're doing and letting them criticize what you do? Jay, as a good real estate agent, you're criticized by people that do less.
Of course.
As a professional speaker, trainer, coach, I'm criticized by people that do less.
Of course.
Earl said, if you listen to them, you're going to do less. So I would say to all your great viewers, don't listen to the ones doing less. Look up to, respect, admire, and listen to the ones doing more. Because no matter what your role in life is, there's always somebody doing more.
That's right. That's great advice. I mean, in the context of our viewers, those who are watching our show on real estate, for example, if you're going to talk and do investments, find people who are investors rather than asking your neighbor who has never owned an investment property who will say, beware of those tenants. We help people, Mike, every single day put together an investment. You know, if you have a home and you bought the home 5 years ago and you're wondering, how can I pay my mortgage off? There is a ways. You can go invest it, and there are ways one can do it without getting hurt. But find the right answer, right? Find the right people is what I got from that conversation too.
If you're not feeling well, do you want to go to any doctor or the best doctor?
I love it.
And that's how I look at it.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess one thing a guy said to me one time, if you're flying from here to Europe, do you want to fly on a professional, respected airline or an airline called Fly By Night?
I love it. Yes. No, sure. We get the point. Thank you. Now, talking about success, success has been described as a progressive realization of a worthwhile goal, which you've taught us all and many times. Do you agree with that?
100%. I mean, life is about setting goals, setting standards, and going after them. Or you can be like most people that just live their life.
Good point. Good point. Thank you. Now, I've watched you and I've seen you over the years talk to thousands of people, you know, in different occasions, and you appear fearless.
Mm-hmm.
What do you fear the most?
It's an interesting question because I did an interview for a newspaper in Southern California. And the first question the lady asked me was, you know, you're very competitive. And I said, well, I am competitive.
Yes.
She said, who are your competition? And I said, I don't have any.
Okay.
And then I wanted to explain that remark.
Yes.
And what I explained to her was that I set goals to compete against the business plans that I have.
I see.
I'm not competing with Jay, I'm not competing with Bob, I'm not competing with Molly and Nora, I'm competing against the goals that I've set for myself and my business. So I don't have any competition because nobody else is trying to do what I'm trying to do in my business. Well, this lady wrote in her article, Mike Ferry's ego is so big, he has no competition. No, that is not what I said.
No.
When you say, what are my fears? I don't have any, because the only thing we have to remember is we have our business, we have our family. Now, these are not in order of importance.
No,
we have our children, we have our grandchildren.
Sure.
We have our health, we have our spiritual beliefs.
Sure.
My fear is that I won't be able to accomplish everything I want to accomplish.
Yes.
But I can't control that because I don't know what day I'm going to be gone. So I'll just keep working on trying to accomplish it, so therefore I have no fear.
Yes, I appreciate that. It's just about being focused on what you have to do, and that's really about it. Mike, you are a mentor to many. Who do you most aspire to be like?
I'm very fortunate. I had 3 great people in my life between age 18 and, well, even through today.
Okay.
Earl Nightingale, who we just mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah.
Earl passed away, I believe, about 20 years ago, was a great inspiration to me. A man named Michael Vance, and Michael Vance was Walt Disney's right hand.
Really?
And was heavily involved, in fact, was the founder and ran what's called the Disney University, which is a very known and respected business university. And then a guy named Dr. Gunther Klaus, a man from Germany, from Munich, that worked with me for many, many years. So I have 3 of, in my opinion, the most brilliant men that I could find, coach me, mentor me, train me. I would aspire to one day be like any of those 3. If somebody said to me one day, wow, you know, you're as good as Earl Nightingale, which will never happen.
Sure.
Or if they said, wow, you can think like Mike Vance, man, I would be honored. So I'm just aspiring to be as good as any one of those 3 guys that have coached me for years.
Yes.
One of the 3 is still alive.
Good for you,
And so I'm very fortunate to still have one of those 3 men in my life.
Yes. Excellent. Wow, that's a great thought. That's a great thought. Now, Mike, a couple of years ago in the U.S., you have NAR is the National Organization of Realtors. Just like in Canada, we have our own associations for our viewers. And they named you as the 5 most influential people in real estate in North America. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And if I recall correctly, in my notes, some notes here too, that was there was the U.S. President was named in that list.
Correct.
The U.S. Congress.
Correct.
Bill Gates.
Actually, it was the chairman of the Federal Reserve was actually next.
Was next? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. And I believe it was, some people may not know what is Centan Corporation, but they'll know some of the companies, all the major companies here in Canada as well, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Mr. Henry Silverman.
Yes.
And Bill Gates as well, and yourself were named in that line of 5 or 6 people. Tell me more about that.
Well, it came as a surprise to me.
Okay.
And I was happily shocked, and in fact, I wrote a letter to the National Association of Realtors saying, how did you select me as one of the 5 most influential? And you know what their answer was?
Yes.
We talk to all of our constituents every day.
Yes.
Because there's 1 million people selling real estate. And they said, we kept saying the same thing. Who's influenced you the most on being good at what you do?
Yes.
And I guess my name kept coming up, where they finally figured out. Now, think about this. For a little guy named Mike Ferry to be in the same category as the President of the United States, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
I recognize his name long before he recognized mine.
Yes.
So I keep things in perspective there.
Yes.
The U.S. Congress is our governing body in the U.S. For all things.
Of course.
I believe me, understand fully that they're probably not sitting around saying, wonder what Mike's doing today, okay? Henry Silverman,
yes,
who's the chairman of the largest real estate company in the world, which
yes.
is a holding company for all these
Okay.
major franchises.
Okay.
Although I've met him many times and he's truly an incredible man, is probably not saying, I wonder if Mike's coming over for coffee. So my belief is that they were looking for the person that's had the day-to-day influence on the sales side of this business. So, I mean, I was honored. I actually had that particular recognition several times from the National Association of Realtors, which gives you a great sense of accomplishment.
Of course.
But the truth is, that accomplishment and $5 buys me a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So I have to put things in perspective. I still got to do my job every day to help you sell more homes.
No, I appreciate that, and actually I recall the time when that news came out, and you might have been surprised, but someone like myself was not.
Well, thank you. You're very kind.
I mean that sincerely. And that kind of goes to my next question. I mean, obviously, you would be perceived by people in North America, and now in your involvement so much in Canada, as the guru, shall we say,
Sure.
in real estate.
Yes.
And the big question that I get asked in my car, on the streets, from our viewers who send us emails, and thank you for the emails that you send to Molly and myself, is, do you think, and here's the question, do you think, first of all, real estate is a good investment?
Thank you for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed preparing it for you. So have a safe and a happy Victoria Day weekend. So we'll see you again, same time, same place. Until then, it's Molly saying bye-bye.